Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover of the Auto Trail Savannah. So using your West Alloy square key, you can open this locker here, which is where you hook the vehicle up and where your leisure batteries live. So to grab a hold of the bottom, lift it up, you've got your leisure battery. That is a new max 105 amp hour leisure battery, and there is space for a second should you want it. And then you do have, just down here, your two battery fuses on the back wall. So if you've checked the fuses on board the vehicle and they haven't blown, but you're still not getting any 12 volt power, just check these two. It's very rare that these do blow, but these are your main battery fuse. To hook the vehicle up, whether you're charging it at home or you are on site, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar, slide it on here, hooking the motorhome up first and then making the cable arrive by connecting it to the power source and doing it in reverse when unhooking. And then the best place to keep your wire, your hookup cable, if it is wet, is in here with your levelling ramps and anything that you don't want to drag into the van and get the van dirty or wet inside. And this grey tap is your wastewater tap. So on your control panel, it will tell you how full your wastewater is at any one time. This is any water that you've used going down a plug hole. When you leave your site, you want to drive over the grid or drive as close to the waste disposal point as possible and open it up and allow the water out. Don't travel with this water in the van because it's just going to add weight, where you could use that for your payload and your bits and pieces that you want to put on board the van, and it's going to use more fuel because you're going to be carrying a little bit more weight around with you. Whereas if you get rid of this, you'll be slightly lighter and you'll use less fuel. Storage locker behind the kitchen, so you put your bits and pieces on board there. This is your external shower point. So inside the van you've got one bullfinch connection that connects to this point, and on the other end of the hose you get a trigger gun. As long as the pump's on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water from your water system on board your motorhome. If you've had the hot water on, you can use the hot side. If not, it will just be cold, or you can mix it. So it's great for hosing the dogs off, the bikes, the boots. Just behind the back wheel here, you do have your fresh water drain point. So if you have filled up with fresh water and you're now draining it down for the winter, you'll open this up and allow all the water out. Or if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, you would open this valve and allow all the water in the freshwater tank to drain out and leave open. Leave it open in the winter, this will stop the water from freezing, but it's best that you open this on the last site that you're at of the year before you're bedding it down for the winter, and drive home with it slightly open, and this will allow, when you're driving, to rock any loose water out of the tank to avoid any water from forming ice in your freshwater tank. But it's very important that you drain it out, otherwise you can cause damage to that tank. On the back of the Savannah you do have your garage area. You do have your garage area. So you've got your carpets, your carb mat, your owner winding handle there, some bits and pieces. But in this corner you've got your fresh water pump, so you've got your water pump for the vehicle, which is accessible through these doors. So again, when winterising, it's very important that this little filter here, when you've drained it down and you've opened the boiler and then you've put the pump on and blew the pump out for 10 seconds with the tap open, any water in there will drain out. You want to take the cover off, the plastic cover just unwinds and there's a little mesh filter in there, and you lift that out. That will stop any water from freezing in there, because what was happening last year is a lot of people were complaining that these were cracking, and it was because they were leaving water in, and because the vehicle's parked up and gets really cold in our winter temperatures, the water was freezing. So to avoid that, unscrew it, get a tea towel, catch any loose water and pull the filter out. Put that somewhere handy, like in your cutlery tray or on your dashboard, and then when you come to reuse it, put that on before you do anything else. On the back of the vehicle you do have your high level brake light and reversing camera. Fittings where you can take a bike rack. Unscrew this nut and you've got your spare wheel. There is a cover going on there, but it is on back order with Auto Trail at the moment, which will be your Auto Trail badge, and that will open with the habitation key to get to this nut to remove your wheel cover. Another garage door this side with fittings for your awning legs, which is being put on for this particular customer, so your awning legs can go against the vehicle. To fill the van with fresh water, what you need to do is you need to get yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap provided by the site. Connect your hose to their tap, and then get your loose end of the hose with nothing on and pop it into the van and fill it with water. Put it on until it overflows, or until you look on your control panel and see how much water is on board at any one time. External gas points, so if you plan on doing a bit of outdoor cooking in the summer, or if you're going abroad where the weather's nice, you can connect your barbecue to the side of the van without having to carry a spare bottle. So you get a bullfinch connection, which is the red end, goes into there. On the end of the fitting you need some gas hose, which is orange, and a Jubilee clip to connect it to this point. Connect the other end of the vehicle to the barbecue, one end of the vehicle, turn it on, and you can use the bottle on board the vehicle for the gas supply instead of carrying a spare. Above you'll see that there's a bit of smoke coming out of here, condensation. This is your Truma vent for your combi heating and hot water system. Because I've got this on gas and electric at the moment, you can see the gas fumes coming out the exhaust manifold. Do just allow this to be obstruction free at any time, and never cover it up with anything near it. If you're going to put an awning on, make sure it's got plenty clearance to allow these fumes out. Cassette toilet. So you've got one West alloy key for that long locker, two habitation keys, one for your water, one for your habitation locks. Pop that in there and you'll be able to lock and unlock the door. To lift the cassette out, make sure the blade's closed on the pedestal of the toilet, otherwise it won't come out. Lift the orange handle up and slide the cassette out of the van. You can then carry it, or you can wheel it to your disposal point, which is normally on site beside your toilet block. And then to empty, remove the grey cap, pop that to one side, tip the contents out of the cassette, and as you tip them, press the orange button to allow a bit of air in, stops it glugging. Tip it away. Once it's tipped, bit of water in there because there's normally a tap. Cap back on, rinse, shake and rinse, and then you can go in with a cap full of liquid, which is 120 ml, which can either be green or blue. Green is your more environmentally friendly, which some sites are asking for now for their septic tanks to get rid of the waste, but you can use blue on some sites as well. Two fridge vents, an awning light, a security handle which also helps as an aid of getting in and out of the vehicle. However, when travelling, do not have it over the door like this. Have it pinned back like that when travelling. Only have it over the door when you're leaving it, either on your site and you've gone out for the day, or parked up in a storage yard or on the driveway. Having it over the door, in case you are involved in a collision in the cab, you need to utilise this door to get out the vehicle in an emergency, so never block that door. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker. So just behind the passenger seat, there's a handle, says LPG. Pulling that will allow you to lift your gas door, and you need to push it back onto the retainer. We've got a gas bottle on at the moment, which is a 6 kilogram propane. this motorhome does run off propane, not butane, because propane has a much higher freezing point, whereas butane will freeze at around -2, whereas this will freeze at -24. What you need to do is to connect your bottle from the regulator at the back to the bottle. You've got a pipe which is known as your pigtail. Left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. And this is a thumb wheel pigtail, so it's a hand tighten one, you don't need a spanner. Once you've tightened it, you can turn the bottle on 1 or 2 turns, and then before travelling, you always want to ensure that's turned off. You want to ensure that the bottle's strapped in around the centre of the bottle, and if you're carrying a spare and one does become empty, disconnect the pigtail and connect it to the reserve bottle and exchange the one that is empty. Crash valve in the regulator, which is known as a second motion crash valve. If you're still not getting gas through, you need to press this green button and you need to press it in for 10 seconds, and that will reset the valve inside here, which allows the gas to go into the motorhome. Without that being pressed, you will not get any gas coming through into the van. Fuel is at the passenger door and opens with the main Fiat Ducato key. Tyre pressures 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi, and your tyre size can be found on the slam panel of the passenger door. Toolkit lives underneath the passenger seat, which includes a jack, a brace, a tow eye. This just pull off, turn this and this will slide out, and your engine battery, with it being a Fiat, is underneath the cab floor. However, your bonnet release is on the side of the dash when you open the passenger door. You do have your screen wash above the driver's headlight. These 3 tabs on this part of the scuttle lift off and you can fill your power steering fluid and your coolant. Clutch and brake fluid, engine oil filler, dipstick for checking your levels, paint code should you ever need it for the Grigio Grey, weight plate, so 4250 gross vehicle weight. If you were to put a tow bar on, whatever you're towing on the back and the vehicle can't exceed 5.5 tonne, and you've got your front and back axle weights. This is an earthing point for giving or receiving a jump start here. So you'd put your black clip onto there, and by your air filter, if this cover's ever down, key in the side lifts up, red clip on there for giving or receiving a jump start. So to operate your control panel, once you come in the vehicle, you want to turn on your 12-volt switch, which is your master switch, which is this one here. This gives you 12 volt off your leisure battery, and if you are hooked up, it will also illuminate the little hookup sign, which is just up here, which you can just see there, which indicates that you're on mains 230 volt. You can then turn on your lights, which is the master switch for your lights, and then they all are individually switched around the van. Pressing the pump will turn on your pump, which pressurizes the water to the taps, toilet and shower, but will also bring up this menu on the control panel, which is your level page. So you can see your vehicle, your leisure, your fresh water and your wastewater readings. Your vehicle and your leisure battery are currently given a false reading because the vehicle is hooked up. To get a true reflection of what the batteries are, take the hookup out and it'll tell you the true reading. On the bottom line, you've got your on and light switch, which is the switch on the outside of the van. The dimmer switch, which is in the lounge, just underneath the cabinets. You can dim it, so if you just press and hold until you take your finger off, and it'll dim it down until you've taken your finger off the switch and stopped. This button here is a power transfer button. So it sends all the power from the hookup to the vehicle battery, but it also means that the motorhome's using the vehicle battery. That's great if you want to charge a vehicle battery when it's on the driveway. However, when you're using it, you always want to make sure it's on the leisure. So never have it on vehicle. Make sure it always say an L. The leisure battery is the auxiliary battery that is designed to power the motorhome. So use the leisure battery and not the vehicle, because you don't want to drive away with a flat battery. And then you do have your tank heaters, which is this one here, which heats the water. So if it's going to be cold overnight, turn your tank heaters on and it will keep the water in the tanks above freezing. You can scroll up and down through the menu of the levels and the time, and if you want to set an alarm or change the clocks when the times go back and forth, you just press this button here. It enters you into the menu and you can go up and down and change the source there. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, to turn the system on and off, you'd press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on and it'll come on, and then to get into the menu you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be, I'd press enter and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water. This is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, so make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2, will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1 and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site, unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner, so eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off, just the once though. Clock in the middle, and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold and it'll say off and it'll completely turn itself off. In the kitchen you do have 3 gas burners, or if you're hooked up you can use the electric hot plate. And the electric hot plate is this one here, which indicates with the red light when it's on. Failing that, you'd use your gas. There you've got 3 gas burners lit. Once you've had any of the hobs on, if you do, just allow it to cool down before you put the glass lid down, otherwise you may shatter the glass and that's not what you want. So make sure they're cool enough to touch before you put the lid down. Underneath you've got 1 grill pan and grill. And under the grill you do have a oven. So you've got your oven. If you ever need any parts for your oven, the stickers here with the model number required for parts for this particular model of oven. Glass little door here. If you push the centre, you'll be able to drop it down and you've got some storage in here. But you've also got the mains plug for the electric hot plate. So if that was causing any issues, you can just unplug it or turn it off here. Pressing the catch in, it'll open the cupboard underneath the sink, which has a cutlery drawer in, 2 shelves. Making sure that you push the catch back in to put the travel lock on before you travel, so that the door doesn't come open. And in this one, you've got slide out trays. So you've got 3 of them, so you put your tins in there and your bits and pieces. Cup and plate racks, they are just screwed in, so if you did want to remove them to put your own system in there to store your own bits and pieces, you can by just unscrewing them. And you've also got your mains plug for your microwave. So again, if that was causing any issues, you can just unplug it. Microwave works only when the vehicle is hooked up. However, it goes into sleep mode, so it's in sleep mode there. To wake it up, you press eco, and then after use so long, it will just go to sleep again to preserve power. Pressing in here, you've got storage for your sink cover. So your sink cover can store away there when travelling, and when you want to use it for extra worktop space or draining space, you just put it on the sink whichever way you want. 2 light switches there for your kitchen, one for the splashback and one for under counter. 2 230 volt sockets. To operate your Dometic fridge, to turn the fridge on, you press here. This is your source selector, this one here. So as you see there, A is lit up and there's a picture of a plug. A stands for automatic energy selection. So it picks the best source available to the motorhome at any one time, and it always prioritises mains 230 volt. Once I unhook mains, it will automatically switch over to gas because I've got a gas bottle on. Or if I was to start the engine of the vehicle, it would switch over to 12 volt and just maintain the temperature that the fridge is currently at when I drive the vehicle, until I arrive back on my site and hook it back up. Or if I'm going wild camping, it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas, because this is a safety feature programmed into the fridge in case you've left your gas bottle accidentally open and you're filling with diesel. The last thing you want is the fridge to ignite in the petrol station. So it will beep and flash. In this case, you would just have to manually select the source, so you would just press the square button, get rid of the A and put on the gas. Temperature 5 when pre-chilling. Once you put your shopping in, turn it down to 3 or 4, because 5 can sometimes be too strong and cause ice. And then finally, you do have a little switch here which stops the control panel from condensing up, so it puts a heater on both sides to stop the cold air from the fridge and the freezer condensing the panel. When not in use, we always recommend that your fridge is turned off and that you leave your doors of both freezer and fridge open once you've cleaned it out. And underneath the catch there's little catches to keep the door open. Quite fiddly doing it one-handed. There's one and there's the other. So they would just go on to here on the little hinge of the door. Put your retainers in and it keeps the door open to allow air to circulate in and out. Otherwise the air would be trapped with a rubber seal and start to smell over time. At the back of the Savannah you do have 2 single beds which can be made into 1 double. So if you wanted to make the double, there's an infill cushion in the bag in the wardrobe here. That's your wardrobe space, which is in the centre. This would slide out, come all the way till it stops on the blocks. You want to lift it up and slide it over the blocks and jam it in. That means it's not going to move. One of the back cushions will have to come out the backs of the bed, go in here. The infill cushion would go at the front or the back. Doesn't really matter, but it creates a double bed across the width of the van. We've got 3 large storage drawers in here as well. As well as storage across the top. 3 this side, 2 that side. Shelves on both sides. And individual reading lights which you can turn on and off. So depending on who wants the light on. TV brackets fitted, which you can have fitted here. We fitted this one for this particular customer, but you can't get them fitted to this wall because there's a TV point, 12 volt point for a TV and an aerial point here, and we always recommend that you do get the 12 volt TVs because you can use them while camping and when not. Otherwise, if it's mains, you do have to be hooked up to use the TV in the bedroom. Storage in here, but this is access to your garage because it dips down at the garage door and your water pumps there as well, which we spoke about from outside the vehicle. Underneath the 2 doors on the back bed on the passenger side, just under here is where the boiler is kept, and the boiler heats the water of the hot water system. So it heats 10 litres of water up at any one time, and this is your drain down toggle here. So it's lying down at the moment, it's shut because I've had the hot water on in this van. But to drain it down, all you need to do is flick it up and it will drain the 10 litres of water that's in there directly out underneath the chassis, and you would leave it stood up in this position when not in use. When you're ready to reuse it, lie it back down so it stops the valve from draining the water. Always drain it down in the winter. It will avoid any damage to any appliances as it's not covered in the warranty. You have to protect the vehicle against frost by draining it down, so it's your responsibility to make sure this is done. So start off with the boiler, drain that off, lift that up, stand it on end. Outside, fresh and waste open. Inside, come inside, open the taps. Take the shower head off the shower hose and lie that in the shower tray, and then turn the pump on for 10 seconds. Let it blast any water that's in any lines out, and then turn it off. And then when you come to reuse it, shut your taps outside, assemble the taps inside. So shut your taps inside, assemble your shower hose, shut your boiler, fill it with water. Once you've got some water, you can turn your pump on. Cold side of the tap, you'll get a pressurised flow of water straight away. As soon as you start going to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter and make all sorts of noises until you get a pressurised flow. Once you've got a pressurised flow from one tap, do them all, and then your system is primed. But make sure you drain it down, otherwise it can be a costly mistake to make. So now in your toilet area. So your toilet door acts as the bedroom door and shuts the front off from the back, or you can just use it as an individual toilet door. But to operate the toilet, you press the blue button. The blue button is your flush, but it'll also set the fan away. To stop the fan, press it. This is a ventilation fan. Once it's flashing, it's on. Once it's static, it's off. You press the blue button. So press the blue button, making sure the pump's turned on, and you'll get some fresh water flush. Put a small amount of water in first to help lubricate the seal. Then before you think about using it, you want to open the blade, which is this grey lever on the pedestal of the toilet. Use the toilet, flush it after use, and close the blade. Making sure that the blade's closed will ensure the cassette comes out the outside of the vehicle. If that's open, it won't come out. So it's got to be closed. If you've got any pink liquid, there's nowhere for the pink liquid to go on this fan. However, what you can do is you can use it as a spray. So put some in an empty spray bottle, dilute the rest with water, spray the bowl, flush, close the blade, does the same job. making sure the blade's always closed when you're finished, as if you ever need to empty the cassette, it'll not come out if that's open. And you'll get 3 lights underneath the diagram of the cassette when the cassette is full. Got toiletry space underneath the sink. This is just showing that your hot water system's working there. That water is very hot. Bathroom light switch is there, and you've got some more toiletry space in the upper cabinet. Across from it you've got your shower. So your shower doors are magnetic, so when travelling, ensure that the doors are closed. Push the doors in and you've got your shower tray, and make sure that when you winterize you unscrew the shower head from this hose, because any water could sit in here and potentially freeze. So lie the hose in the tray with this tap open and all the others, but do just be careful with what you clean any of this shower tray and surround out with. No chemicals, no abrasive or solvent product on the plastic shower tray and surround, otherwise you may damage it. Use Dettol spray and a microfiber cloth or Fairy Up liquid and just rinse it out. No bleach, nothing like that, or bathroom cleaners, because you will strip the finish of the shower tray. And it tells you there on a sticker just about the cleaning and care instructions. You've got a hanging rail as well, which is great for your towels, but it's also great if you've got a few hangers and you've been caught out walking the dog in the rain or out for a walk in the rain. Hang your coats in here. It'll drip dry into the shower tray, so it'll stop any water from getting on the floor, and it will drain out because it's in the shower tray. Just behind the driver's seat, above the lounge, is a location of where you'll find your Sergeant Supply unit, which is your EC500 unit. So this black button here is a system shutdown button, which acts as a battery isolation switch. So if you thought you had a power drain, if you press that, it will kill all power within the van on 12 volt. This is just a copy of your control panel, so you can press here, you can put your master switch on from here as well, and your pump, or you can do it off your panel, and you've got a power transfer switch there as well, but you do that all off your panel. Very rare you'll be playing with them switches, but you might just turn off that one when storing. Here you've got your 12 volt fuses for all your 12 volt appliances, which are listed here what they do. So do carry some spares just in case you need a fuse. If you've got them with you, you can just replenish your fuse, because if a 12 volt appliance isn't working, it's more than likely going to be a fuse. On this side you've got your mains trip test, so if you think you're not receiving power but you've connected the van up, best way to check is tripping the van. If the van trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, you're not receiving power, so check where your cable is plugged into. And you've got 3 MCBs, which tell you there what the MCBs do. Build number, so if you ever need parts for this particular motorhome, every Auto Trail motorhome that leaves the factory has a build number. Quote your Auto Trail dealers your build number, and they'll go on the Auto Trail system and find the parts that have been allocated to your vehicle when it was built. USB for charging should you need it. This motorhome is fitted with a Oyster satellite system, which has been fitted by the previous owner, but to work it, press here, which is a picture of a satellite, and it will erect the satellite on the roof, start to spin round until it locks on to Astra 2, and it always goes back to the last position. So this is set to Astra 2, which will work in the UK and France, but if you start going down to Spain and Portugal, you may have to change the satellite, and to do that you just use the arrows and find the satellite that you want and then press enter. So it says satellite mode and it says Astra 2, so that's locked on. So if I go on my TV now and turn it on in the drop down carb one, point your remotes to your top corner, that's where your magic eye is on this TV. and go to source. Satellite TV is what you want it on. It does have an aerial from the factory as well, so with the aerial you'll just have to retune every time you move, but the satellite's way better than the aerial because it'll pick up better signals than the aerial could provide. Your telly's working there. On satellite you've got loads of channels, but if you ever need to retune it on digital, you would just change it back to digital source if you weren't using your satellite because it was windy or something. You put on to digital, press AQT, which is the orange button here, and press scan, and it'll search and find as many channels as it can off the TV aerial. However, the satellite that's been fitted, because this vehicle must have been used on the continent, the satellite will find better signals than the TV aerial could ever provide. To put your satellite down before travel, you just press this button here and it'll say retracting, and then the dish, the best way to check your dish is just through here. Start spinning round and folding down, that's it going down there. So you can see the satellite dish from the bedroom skylight.